This is the early line. On the early line, in the early portion of the NFL offseason, we play Guess the Line for what the win total might be for a specific NFL team as we enter 2024's NFL campaign, using conference odds, Super Bowl 59 odds, and what the win total was a season ago. So let's start with those Super Bowl 59 odds just to get the picture of where things stand around the league. The San Francisco 49ers will enter this offseason as the Super Bowl 59 favorites in New Orleans. 5-1 the price on San Francisco. A full $1.50 in front of the two-time reigning NFL Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs, plus 650. The Ravens, third best number at 9-1. Everybody else, 4 digits or longer. The Bills, 12-1. The Cowboys and the Lions tied for the fifth best price at 13-1. The Bengals, 15-1. The Eagles, 17-1. The Dolphins and the Packers, 21-1, 22-1, respectively, round out the top 10.
Yeah, it sounds about right. I would have the 49ers a little bit lower, somewhere around a 7 or 8-1 price at this point. They're not just going to walk over the division and or the NFC. And also, there is something to that Super Bowl hangover when you don't win it. You need to be healthy the next year. It typically doesn't happen, and regression certainly will come into the fold. But I can't disagree with a lot of these numbers here from the FanDuel Sportsbook as where we line up towards next year. I like the Kansas City Chiefs. They'll retool the Baltimore Ravens at a 9-1 price. You might not think they can win the Super Bowl, but they'll be a damn good regular season team. So no real issues here overall, other than I think the 49ers should be coming back to the field much, much more than a 5-1 price.
Yeah, I think that price is laughable on San Francisco. Ultimately, are you going to cash that Super Bowl 59 ticket with the 49ers based on what we have seen? No. Based on coaching? Certainly not. I don't think anybody should be in front of the Chiefs in the offseason or the preseason before a new year begins. Is San Francisco more than likely going to play in the NFC title as they have 4 of the past 5 NFL seasons? Sure, I could give you that. To be the Super Bowl favorites by $1.50 in front of Kansas City, hey, whatever. It is what it is. We go Guess the Line with 2 teams out of the NFC, 2 from the AFC here on this Thursday on TEL. And we start with Donnie Right Side's Philadelphia Eagles, who entered last year with a win total of 11.5. Their preseason Super Bowl 58 odds, 8-1. Now 17-1, $9 added on to the number this year. What do you believe the 2024 win total will be for the Birds?
Yeah, if you're correlating it there, it probably just means they're coming in around a 9.5, and rightfully so. There's a lot of question marks with the Philadelphia Eagles that we didn't think we had last year coming off of the Super Bowl loss. You thought Jalen Hurts would just take up right where he was as an unbelievable quarterback and maybe the best quarterback in the Super Bowl, and they didn't even win that football game. But there was a ton of talent coming back, but you did lose both of the coordinators coming back on that season, and it didn't work out in the Eagles' favor. And also, when I say didn't work out, they're actually 10-1 at one point here and won 11 football games, with the vibe certainly not high. But I think they corrected a lot of those issues. You're going to get a competent offense next year and a competent defense. Not because of the player personnel here, Ben, but just because of the coaches that you brought in. An upper echelon offensive coordinator and one of the best defensive coordinators in the history of football in Vic Fangio coming to town. At least you should have your X's and O's worked out. For myself, you should be getting a downgrade on the Philadelphia Eagles. They're not the same team they were just 2 years ago, and you will get a downgrade because of that. But I don't see any reason why they can't win 10 football games. I'll set that number at 9.5. I think it makes a lot of sense.
I think the over would have some juice, and let me just say this right now. 9.5, 10.5. Over on the Philadelphia Eagles team win total for 2024. They started off 10-1 this year before they stumbled mightily down the stretch, losing 5 of their final 6 games in the regular season, and of course, losing in the opening round of the playoffs to Tampa in Tampa, despite being booked as a road favorite. And they still finished only a half game under their preseason win total of 11.5. I would agree with Donnie. I think 9.5 is the win total, and the over has the juice, and I will take the over. I have already said I believe the best value in the Super Bowl 59 odds is on Philadelphia, maybe Cincinnati, and I'm going to bet the Eagles to win the NFC before the year gets underway. The biggest detriment to the Birds a season ago was the drop-off in coordinator positions. Nick Sirianni, Howie Roseman have fixed that error this offseason. Kellen Moore, I still believe one of the bright, young, talented offensive minds in the NFL. And defensively, I don't think it gets better as a DC than Vic Fangio. Maybe it's not all that's cracked up to be. Maybe there's some roster issues. Maybe Sirianni is not cut out. to be the head coach. I believe that he is, and I believe Philadelphia will be back in the NFC Championship game. So give me the over of a 9.5 win total. Dallas Cowboys, 13-1 to win the Super Bowl entering 2023. 13-1 to win the Super Bowl entering 2024. Last year, the win total was 9.5 for Dallas. They have won 12 regular season games in the last 3 NFL seasons. This year, I believe that win total is double digits, at least 10.5.
Yeah, I'm going to put it at 10.5 as well, because I do think there will be a step up here, at least in the odds market, for the division championship between the Philadelphia Eagles and also the Dallas Cowboys. There's 2 bad teams in the Eagles division and also the Cowboys division, which will help them. You'll be able to beat up on the Giants and the Washington Commanders for at least one more year until they get their quarterback situation overall figured out. But you brought up a good point here. We're not asking you right now as a team total that, coordinates with a Super Bowl championship. We know Dallas Cowboys don't have the DNA right now to win a Super Bowl, quite frankly, even advance in the playoffs, as it feels like. But they do have a very talented roster. And the one thing you have to like, too, if we just take a look at the team total, I like the stance that Jerry Jones is taking right now. Complete anger after losing in the playoffs, where it's like, we didn't see this coming. I didn't even prepare for a speech after the game as if my team was going to lose. I can't believe it happened going up against the Green Bay Packers. But having said that, he also was like, I know Dak wants an extension. That's not happening here. You're going to show me. I know my coach, who's basically a lame duck, don't care. He's going to have to show me that he belongs, which does add extra fuel to the fire, and everybody crossing their T's and dotting their I's, which includes ownership by getting extra players and maybe pushing in on that salary cap to add more players without those extensions. Say, I'm giving you guys a 1-year window to win this, or else we are breaking up the band at this point here. I think that plays well for a regular season. I agree with you. 10.5, and the front runner currently in the NFC is probably the NFC East, I should say, is the Dallas Cowboys.
Yes. I think the Cowboys will be booked as the favorites to win the NFC East. Of course, know the quacky trend that we have since 2004, now nearly 2 decades, we have not seen a repeat divisional champ, even though we thought the Eagles were going to run away with the NFC East at multiple times throughout the second half of this NFL season. Over Philadelphia, under Dallas. I don't believe it works out this year. I don't think there has been a coach on a hot seat warmer than Mike McCarthy. Sure, he was brought back. He was given no contract extension. This is the final year of his deal. I don't think he returns in 2025, even if Dallas does have another good regular season. I would never bet a Cowboys price for anything of worth in the postseason with Donnie's money, with my worst enemy's money at this moment. Could there be regular season success? Sure. I think the loss of Dan Quinn is going to rear its ugly head for Dallas this year. Now over to the AFC. The Cincinnati Bengals, a team win total of 11.5 for 2023. Of course, they fell well short of that with only 9 wins, but that was because of the injury to Joe Burrow. 10-1 to win Super Bowl 58, 15-1 to win Super Bowl 59. What is the win total for the Bengals in 2024?
I'm going to drop it slightly here to 10.5. I don't think T. Higgins is going to be back, but if I get Joe Burrow back healthy here, you can beat just about anybody in the NFL. We've seen that with Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals. I do think that Jamar Chase will be back and happy with a monster contract. If not, this season could completely go off the rails, which, again, I'm not expecting that. I like Zach Taylor's the head coach, like the defensive coordinator. They still have some nice pieces here. You'll get a draft pick and also maybe go out in the free agency to attack. But the question coming in, you're not getting the benefit of the doubt in that division. Baltimore is going to be unbelievably good once again in the regular season if they stay healthy. You take a look at the Cincinnati Bengals themselves. Yes, they should be good next year. The Cleveland Browns, who to me technically overachieving last year with losing their quarterback, Deshaun Watson will be back. Whether or not that's actually a good thing, you expect higher expectations with your starting quarterback under center. Nick Chubb, who got injured, is he coming back? The defense is ultra talented as well. So case in point in that division, the Pittsburgh Steelers, if they get a quarterback, you know Mike Tomlin, they'll be 500 or better. You can bookmark that at this point, which means that doesn't resonate all that well, because if you are taking haymakers on a week-to-week basis from your own division, that's going to limit how high you can climb, the 13 wins, the 14 wins, the 15 wins if you're that good a football team. So I'll downgrade them slightly, not necessarily because I don't like the football team, but just the environment they're playing in. The AFC North, that's a tough division, Ben.
And that is why the win total is going to be 10.5 with the under having the juice, or I might even throw it at a flat 10 with maybe slight juice to the over because of the AFC North and because the Baltimore Ravens are going to have the highest win total. But because of the AFC North, I don't even think the flock are at 11 or 11.5. I think it's probably 10.5 for Baltimore. Joe Burrow has started and completed 2 full healthy years for the Bengals that have ended in a run at least to the AFC Championship. Of course, 2021, it was a Super Bowl 57 or 56 appearance for Cincinnati. They have won double-digit games each of those 2 full years. They even finished with 9 last year with Jake Browning, the quarterback, for the final stretch of the regular season. If it is at 10, I would bet the over for Cincinnati, maybe even the over of 10.5, potentially with some plus money. I have said it, the Bengals and the Eagles, the 2 teams I look at for value in the conference championship markets in their respective ends of the league, and of course, maybe to match up in a Super Bowl in New Orleans. The Buffalo Bills, 2023 Super Bowl 58 odds, 9-1. Their win total, 10.5. This year, the market has moved back at 12-1, maybe because of Buffalo falling short once again in the playoffs. What do you think the win total is for 2024?
I think it'll be right at 10.5 again. I'm going over here. It's one of the teams that I'm most excited for heading into 2024, just because you take a look at, you have the quarterback here. He's dynamic, and if he stays healthy, you'll be good automatically here for Buffalo. But also take a look at the wide receiver position. I'm expecting a bounce back from Stephon Diggs this year. No longer being angry last year and can't stand Josh Allen. Amazing, a different tune you play when your season didn't go as well as you wanted it to go, and now you're expecting maybe a refocused Diggs in the offseason. You'll get a quality number 2 wide receiver, but the more important thing is here that Sean McDermott defense I expect to be healthy next season, and that means they're going to be a better football team overall. This is one of those teams I'm looking forward to placing wagers on early in the season for a Super Bowl run. I think that number comes up at 10.5, and I can't wait to bet that to the over, Ben.
Me as well. Listen, you can question what the Bills are going to do once they reach the AFC postseason, especially if it means a matchup against Mahomes and the Chiefs. But in the last 4 years, Buffalo has won at least 11 games in a regular season. I don't think the AFC East is going to be all that challenging this year. I think the Dolphins slightly regress. I don't think the Jets are going to do anything, even if Aaron Rodgers is healthy for all 17 NFL regular season games. I think Buffalo is going to win the division for a 5th consecutive season. I believe I did my math correctly there. I would take the over on the Buffalo Bills win total for that regular season, and it's probably going to be 10.5, and the over might have the shade of the VIG. I would still take Buffalo to the over. That 12-1 Super Bowl price and AFC Championship number, different conversation. These are regular season numbers tied strictly to that win-loss record. I would take the over for Buffalo at 10.5.
Yeah, and it makes some sense to do that. This is one of those teams where I thought I had bigger aspirations there because I thought they could knock off the Kansas City Chiefs. This year, just get back to that football game, and you could say the Buffalo Bills have a healthy defense. They will be moving on. That's the bet I'm making. The Buffalo Bills bouncing back in 2024, Ben.
I love that we already have like our AFC Championship winners. We have our Super Bowl 59 matchups, and it's February 22nd.